What up, y'all? It's your man Chipz-N-Stix. I'm back with Squirtle. Today's video is a Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart review. Full review, spoiler free. Let's get it. So first things first, before I get into the review, I have to let you guys know that I am an Amazon affiliate. So there is a link in the description so that way you can get the game. It supports the channel. It doesn't change anything on your end. So yes, if you do want to get that game, use the link. Now, onto the full review. I'm going to talk about a few things like I always do in my reviews. Gameplay, graphics, fun. I'm going to let you know if this game is actually worth buying or not. So to start off, we're going to talk about graphics, resolution, frame rates, blah, 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 right? I'm not super technical, but Insomniac decided, you know what? I'm going to bless you with 3 modes to play in. I'm for it. Now, there's the 3 modes that they've actually brought back from Spider-Man Miles Morales, right? And especially because this game just recently dropped. They did a day 1 patch. So you get Fidelity Mode, which is your true 4K, but in 30 frames per second. So you get all the lovelies, all the eye candies of 4K resolution at 30 frames, and it gives it, as some would say, a more cinematic look and feel to it. That's cool. You know, it's not bad. It's definitely stunning. And it's just that. It's stunning, right? You get Performance Mode, which is 60 frames per second. They lower the resolution a little bit so you can play at a faster frame rate and smoother gameplay. That's also good. It still looks beautiful, right? Now, the day 1 update gave you performance ray tracing. What does that mean? What is ray tracing? Look that shit up yourself. I'm not going to tell you. But the gist of it is that there's better lighting, better reflections, and it's a graphical enhancement to the game. Now, with performance ray tracing, you get a slightly lower resolution than 4K, but with 60 frames and the enhanced graphics of, you know, the lighting, the reflections, a bunch of those goodies, basically. A lot of the footage that you're going to see is going to show you what all 3 looks like, because it can't be a full review unless you show everything. And by the way, this is spoiler free, so I'm not going to spoil anything about the story. I'm only going to mention what they actually shown that was part of their marketing up until the game released. So the other thing with the graphics is, or at least the performance, which is also like, you know, part of the graphics, whatever. The game is super fast. There's no loading times. Digital Foundry actually did a sort of like graphical resolution review. You know, they do a lot of tech things on their channel, and a lot of it holds up. You know, during gameplay, it's super fast, especially when you're traveling through dimensions using the rifts. It's seamless, right? So you're traveling through a rift and the screen comes at you, and basically the other side of that screen, all of that data is already preloaded. So by the time you're actually in that part of the world, you can just, you know, hit the ground running. It's really astounding how they did this. This game is actually supposed to be what a true next-gen game is, right? It's showing off a lot of what the PS5 can do. The story is basically Dr. Nefarious somehow starts to travel between dimensions, and what's happening is that the dimensions are falling apart. And of course, again, this is shown in the marketing all up until the game released. What they show is that Ratchet and Clank actually pursue him, you know, to try to stop him, but they fail on their first attempt. And what happens is that the 2 actually split. So they land in the same world or the same dimension, but Ratchet is somewhere else and Clank ends up somewhere else. And this is where they introduce Rivet, which everybody by now knows who Rivet is. It's basically Ratchet's counterpart in another dimension. Different personalities, but they're both heroes. They both operate the same. The only real difference or differences is that Rivet is a girl and she wields a hammer instead of a wrench the way Ratchet does. Not only do you just play as Rivet, but you also play as Ratchet. And of course, everything has to connect. You're traveling between dimensions. You're finding out more about Rivet. You know, you learn some new things about Ratchet. And you also find some things about Clank, you know, and how everything kind of happened and what his role is in this. The mechanics are pretty much the same from the previous Ratchet and Clank game on the PS4. Now, this is I want to say it's my true first time playing a Ratchet and Clank game. I guess second time, because I've never played any of the Ratchet and Clank games before the PS4 title. It was given to us for free, so I downloaded it on my PS5. And then I wanted to play that game to see what's going to be in store for me when I pick up Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. There's not much of a big difference between the two games. One of the other features that I do like that they didn't have in the PS4 title is that you can run faster in this. Because I always felt like that gameplay moved a little too slow for my taste. It was just slow, right? But with Rift Apart, you can actually run when you click in the L3 stick, and you can run. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Helps me out. Keep watching. Another ability that you have in this one is that you can actually dodge, right? It's sort of like a warp dodge. This is where it gets good because the guns can do a lot. And the other thing too about this is that, you know, the upgrading feature is back. Of course, when you go to the gun store, you can upgrade your guns through the person who's selling them. The other thing is that, and I think this is a new feature. I'm totally for it. It's humorous, right? You get Zircon Jr., who basically summarizes what that gun can do. He's like really over the top with it. You know, he's his narration of what the gun can do is hardcore, but it's funny. It is funny. It does have humor, but it's not childish humor, you know, and it's not adult humor by any means. You know, I feel like Insomniac found a very good middle ground between, you know, childish humor and like slapstick comedy and not necessarily like adult humor either, right? There's a middle ground where I think where if they say certain things, kids might not get it, but as an adult, you'll get what they're saying. You can understand it. When they talk and the stuff that they say is actually funny. Like I had caught myself laughing at it a few times, and I feel like, you know, they did a phenomenal job with that. The other thing that I do want to mention is that I play this game on normal just so I can get through the story, you know, the gameplay, and do a legitimate review for you guys. There's different difficulty modes, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think there's about 4 or 5 different difficulty modes. At the time of this recording, I have not finished the game. I'm at the very last level, but I've gone through most of it. Even on a normal difficulty level, there's parts of the game that challenge you, you know, where you have to be quick with your responses, you know, and your timed actions. And even in combat, sometimes, you know, they'll throw a bunch of enemies at you and you have to like really maneuver, you know, the battlefield. And sometimes your battlefield may be limited. So you got to play smart. You know, you got to use your weapons correctly, or strategically is the better word. And the other thing too is because you get a whole lot of guns, you're bound to upgrade the ones that you like the most and use the most. If you don't take advantage with upgrading these guns and increasing the ammo capacity, you're really gonna limit yourself on what you can do. Because I found myself doing that, right? Like I have, you know, all the slots on the weapon wheel filled out, but I only use but so many guns. You know, because I tend to mix up, you know, the gunplay with the melee combat. And that's the good thing too about this. You can do both and conserve your ammo, or you can just go in guns blazing. I'm not sure if they do this on the harder difficulty modes, but on normal, I noticed that crates come back. So when you bust a crate open, you'll get ammo to replenish your stock, and then you can continue the battle, you know, as you normally would. Now, if they don't do that on the harder difficulties, that is a whole new level of challenge, and, you know, I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I'm going to try to do it, but I know that's going to be tough. Now, with everything that this game does good, I do have, I would say, 2 minor complaints. One of the problems that I did have is the boss fights sometimes are repetitive. Now, what I wanted to see is a different boss with each world that I had gone to. Because it's Dr. Nefarious, he's gonna have the same kind of like animals or species, whatever, including some of the same robots that you have to fight. It does happen in different dimensions, in different worlds to worlds. You do end up fighting the same robot or the same enemy, I don't know, maybe what, 4 or 5 times? I did want to see some variety in that regard. Now, the other problem that I did have with this game, and it might be something on my end, I'm not completely sure, I gotta test it. If I do, I'll put out like an update to Twitter or something like that. Make sure you guys follow me on that. Photo mode, as amazing as it is, because it's amazing, the amount of detail that you can pick up on a photo and enhance it and show it is beyond me. But one of the problems that I did face is that when I was trying to shoot pictures of Ratchet, I did notice that his fur, it was kind of jumpy. Something was going on where even if I was trying to get in close, you know, for a close-up shot, I noticed that fur around his cheek seemed like it was moving. And I've tried everything from changing the aperture to the focus to the sharpening, and I couldn't get rid of that. Now, I don't know if that's something on my monitors or if the pictures actually show up like that. I have to go back and look at it and really find out why is it looking like that. Overall, those are my only 2 complaints. The game is definitely worth your money. Go get yourself a copy of Ratchet and Clank. Use my affiliate code in the description. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. It helps out with the algorithm. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.